Minister, welcome to the programme.
Thanks very much, it's great to be here.
Yeah, Minister, I suppose I would say that you probably got the softest cabinet position in that it's the one area that's flying ahead of that.
Well, I'm not sure that it's a soft position, but it's certainly a great time to be Minister for Agriculture. I mean, I think it's, when you look at the export figures for agri-food today, you'll see that by the end of this year, agri-food exports in Ireland will have increased by 25% in 2 years. That's an extra €1 billion of food exported out of Ireland this year. So the demand for food across Europe and across the world is growing. The demand for the kind of food that Ireland produces in particular is growing at a fantastic pace because the developing world is growing in population by about 1.25 million a week. And their diet is also changing from a carbohydrate-based diet based predominantly around rice and pasta to a protein-based diet which is about dairy products and meat. So that's what Ireland produces better than any other country in the world, and that's why you'll see delegations from all over the world coming to Ireland, virtually every fortnight now to look at what we're producing here and to open up new opportunities for Irish exports, which is good news for farmers, which is why there are more than 70,000 people here on the first day of the ploughing match for the first time in its history.
Alright, but first of all, even the fact that I lived in Dublin so long, even if I was back in Cork, I still wouldn't know anything about farming, but quintessentially Cork City. But last year, I had your predecessor on the Ploughing as Minister for Agriculture. Right? Fianna Fáil Minister for Agriculture. I did the Virginia agricultural show and I had the minister on, and he got dogs abused. Now, apart from good looks, charm and all that sort of stuff, why has it changed so dramatically for you? You seem to be getting an extraordinarily easy life.
Look, I mean, my job
is just growth.
My job is to give leadership to this industry politically, and that's what we're trying to do. And to be fair to the last government, one of the best things they did was they put together, which was actually written by the industry, a document called Food Harvest 2020, which actually sets targets between now and the year 2020 for where Irish agriculture can be if we exploit the potential for expansion and growth. I have been proactively trying to implement that document. We have an implementation group which I chair, which meets regularly, which works with farming organisations, processors, food companies, exporters, organisations like Chagas and Borbia. And if any one of the sectors in the food chain isn't pulling their weight, well then we focus on that sector until we fix it. So whether it's dairy farm, like if you look at the dairy sector as an example, right? In 2015 dairy quotas will go. In my view, between 2015 and 2020, we will see a 50% increase, if not more, in the volume of milk produced on Irish farms. And we'll see a dramatic increase in the value of dairy exports. To do that, we need to prepare farmers for that. We need to upskill them. We need to encourage things like dairy farm partnerships so that farms are run more as a business rather than a home hobby. We also need to ensure that the processing sector is investing to deal with the increase in volume because they haven't had an increase since the mid-80s because of quotas. We need to ensure that Borbia and organisations like the Dairy Board find new markets, which is why I'm going to Algeria with the Dairy Board on Sunday to hopefully open up a new market in North Africa for dairy products. So this is a team effort. It's a partnership in the industry that so far is working and is producing phenomenal results.
But for the country then, if we look at the country, if you talk about $1 billion in exports or whatever, that's money. That's money. Yeah. But the biggest single problem facing the country, well, amongst many, but one of them will be employment. 500,000 people, give or take, in some kind of unemployment. How does the growth in agriculture and the agri-food industry help that?
Well, I think one of the really special things about agri-food exports is if you look at the top 20 exporting companies in Ireland, you'll see that 7 of them come from the ITC sector, predominantly foreign-owned. 5 of them come from the pharmaceutical sector, mostly in Cork, again predominantly foreign-owned with the exception of Ilan. 5 food companies are in that list as well. They're all Irish-owned. And so the big difference between the agri-food exports and other exports, which are also growing, is that agri-food exports is about the domestic economy as well, because they're produced here in farms and small food companies. There are now 48 farmhouse cheeses in Ireland that are producing over €12 million worth of cheese a year. 4.5 million of that is actually exported each year. So there are small companies all over the country, some of them farms, some of them not farms, who are employing more people now because they're expanding and growing. And so we employ at the moment about 200,000 people in Ireland linked with the food industry, and that figure will continue to grow if the expansion continues.
Like, obviously I'd be dazzled by your grasp of your brief and your knowledge of the agricultural industry, which I wouldn't have. So I have to delve into the last time I interviewed a farmer, or the previous time I interviewed a farmer. Two things seem to come to mind immediately. One is that if I buy a pint of milk in Supergreen, the actual farmer who produced that milk is getting a minute percentage of it, and not enough, he would say. And then the second thing that I can remember farmers telling me is that if you take beef and stuff like this, where we have hugely strong regulation of our beef, that they are open to competitions in countries that don't have anything like that.
Like Brazil and so on.
Exactly.
Yeah, well,
those two.
Yeah, let me just comment on that. First of all, in relation to Brazil, there is at the moment a negotiation going on between the European Union and what are called Mercosur countries, which are 4 South American countries, Brazil being the biggest of them, Argentina being the second. And they're looking to get an increased quota to export beef into the European Union. Countries like Germany that import 400,000 tonnes of beef a year are interested in seeing that happen. We've made it quite clear that if there is going to be a deal between Mercosur countries and the European Union, that's fine, as long as it's done across all sectors fairly. But what is in danger of happening at the moment is that agriculture will be used as sort of a Trojan horse. In other words, it will be sacrificed in order to get financial products and German cars into Brazil. And we cannot stand for that, and we will not stand for that. And that's why we and other countries that have objected to what's happening have delayed a deal on Mercosur. So we need to get used to the fact that our Irish farmers do need to compete with other farmers around the world, because that is the way in which prices are going. But at the same time, we need to protect them from unfair competition where they aren't being asked to do the same things that other countries are asking them. The important thing to remember here is there is an issue, right, around, if you look at the last 20 years, the percentage that the primary producer gets from the final price of any food product has continued to fall, right? And that has happened in correlation with big retail multinationals growing and expanding like Tesco and Dunnes and the others. But it's important to remember, right, that only 10% of milk that's produced on Irish farms goes into liquid milk. So it's the other 90% that actually we should focus most of our attention. Yes, we need to deal with the supermarket issue, and this government will be introducing what's called fair trade legislation, which will ensure that retailers can't abuse their dominant position and actually treat their suppliers unfairly in terms of driving down prices unfairly and so on. But the most important thing to remember here is the vast, vast majority of milk goes into cheeses, goes into yogurts, goes into infant formula. Ireland produces 16% of the globe's infant formula at the moment, and the demand is really, really strong for more. That's why companies like Danone are spending a fortune on building a massive infant formula plant just outside Macroom, which you know, George. And that plant will go from producing less than 30,000 tonnes of infant formula to over 100,000 tonnes next year. So the real value in the dairy industry is actually outside of Ireland, and it's in added value products, because Ireland needs to move away from providing commodity food products, competing with places like Brazil and Argentina and so on, and we need to be targeting premium markets where we can get a premium price, because that's how we can guarantee higher prices for farmers.